Okay, it's a brand new month, and we are grateful to God for the gift of life and His grace. We look forward to an exciting engagement and conversation every week, believing that we are able to perpetrate a can do culture mindset to help individuals and families stay above the difficult times that we're in.
Yes, I'm laughing. Difficult times indeed.
Yes.
And I dare say that we are not anywhere near seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. One of my guests here this morning will not accept that, mindset. But the week again brought Nigerians face to face with prospects of more hardships. The question is, where do we go from here? And how much more really can Nigerians endure?
Really, how much more can we endure? Well, the times are hard to say the least, but we must stay hopeful and find ways to keep going. And that's a decision that we all must make, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, on that note, let me welcome you to the Family Show, where we share experiences that motivate, inspire, and get you to think, achievement, and success. I am John Sanaya, and I'm grateful for your company, as usual.
Tough times never last, but tough people do. And are you among the tough bunch? I am one, and my name is Helen Odeleye. Thanking you for making our time to be part of this conversation this weekend on your favorite family show today with John and Helen live. And we are on PlusTvAfrica.
Okay, so time to take our first break, and when we return, more on the lineup for today. Stay with us.
And we are back. If you just tuned in, you are very welcome. On the show today, we plan to unpack three critical and important issues. First is the topic, breaking down barriers, the power of the mindset. And an interesting individual with a wealth of experience across various domains, Ambassador Dr. Mrs. Unyime Ivy-King, will be doing us that honor.
I knew you would bungle her name. Unyime.
Unyime?
Yes.
Unyime. Okay. Unyime Ivy-King.
So when we are done learning how we can achieve the right mindset and the possibilities that come with it, we shall hand you over to Chizoba Mofegbu for the culture conversation. And today she'll be talking to a young and vibrant achiever.
Yes, she would be.
Great, yes.
And they say that if you have your freedom, you have everything. Today we shall take a peep into the other world where freedom has been denied a lot of people. Have you wondered what it is like in the prisons or any of the so-called correctional facilities that we have around? Barrister Oladele Ojogbede has a clear picture, and he will be joining the show at the appropriate time to look at prison to correctional facilities. What has changed?
Yeah, and I'm going to have to arrange a special class
for cultural, for native.
For Nigerian names.
Nigerian names.
Helen.
Okay.
So there's been another fuel price increase, no discussion, and all of a sudden, Nigerians are buying fuel for 1K and above per liter. Helen, how are you coping? Let me start.
I am not coping at all.
Wow.
I am not coping at all.
Are you currently
No, I'm
with
not
us?
on that side of the divide again. I'm not coping at all. Seriously. Yes, seriously. And,
Don't talk. Don't talk.
Okay.
I can see that you...
If you say so.
You know what happened to me? I got to the filling station. The queue wasn't too bad. I joined the queue. I drove into the station, excited. That at least relief. So they said, "Oh God, how much do I said to fill the tank?" And I sat in the car with one eye on and the guy kept going. And before I knew it, he was at 35,000. And I said, "Wait a minute. Okay, how much is that?" He said that before we finished talking, it had reached 37.
All the
so I said, stop.
All the posing, you stopped at 30.
I said, stop. And then he stopped at 30.
No, this is not, it's not joke anymore. It's
Helen,
not joke anymore.
what are we going to
It's not joke anymore. 25 liters, even for your gen set at home, you can imagine how much.
Yeah.
And immediately, the rumors were there. The gas stations just increase, and the market people just increase, and the transport people just increased immediately.
Would it be a deliberate thing that they starved us so they can bring these new rates up? I don't know. That's what a lot of people are saying.
We are anxiously waiting for the NLC.
I can't cope
you know,
with this.
And the student union have said, no, something has to give. Something has to give.
Wow, this is just over the limits. Anyhow, so
lives of the citizens of Nigeria must count. You know, that's what it is now, and how and when this will happen is a question. Keeping hope alive, I don't think is what. Well, as long as we're alive, we'll have to keep hope alive, Abby. Yeah. So it's time to focus on the power and the possibilities of the mind.
Yes, and to break down the topic, breaking down barriers, the power of the mindset, is a prolific writer, well sought after conference speaker, certified marriage mentor, relationship coach, a mental health and addiction therapist, grief and loss. Our guest is co-founder and chairman, Protection Plus Services distinguished leader with several prestigious awards, both home and abroad. Ambassador Dr. Mrs. Unyime Ivy-King is founder SOW&G as well as GLAM, where her passion and dedication to empowering women and nurturing future leaders is put to action. A doting mother of four, our guest engages her audience through various social media platforms, sharing her insights and writings. Let us make history with Ambassador Dr. Mrs. Unyime Ivy-King, and she made it to the show. Yes, and we're happy to have her. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
I love her name.
Thank you.
I love her name.
All right, for me today, it's rapt attention. And I shall take in all that you have to share with us, because I got a little of it last week from the UpU Women's event, and it was such a delight. Thank you for making it to the studio today.
Thank you for having me.
God bless.
Yes, so is it...
No, you go ahead.
Is it ladies first?
You go ahead.
After gentlemen.
You go ahead, Johnny.
All right. So, Ambassador Unyime, could you just break it down for us? What does breaking down barriers mean to you? And how does one's mindset play a role in overcoming personal and sometimes professional obstacles?
Okay. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here this morning. Breaking down barriers for me personally, it's all about overcoming the obstacles in your path when you want to achieve, whether it's in your personal life or it's in your professional life, because there are so many limitations. And first of all, I always say that we are the primary limitations to ourselves, because the key to succeeding externally begins internally. I believe in the inside-out approach, and I would first blame myself before I blame anybody for whatever it is that is happening. So when we talk about breaking down barriers, this is it. Overcoming those self-limitations, those beliefs that you impose on yourself, even the negative self-talk, because there are people that you have something you want to do, and before you even step out to do it, you've already killed yourself that I can't do this thing and all of that. So it holds you back. So those are the things that we first have to overcome in order to achieve professional success or success at home. And of course, to success professionally begins with success at home, because if you're not succeeding in your home, you're only going to go out and perpetuate those things that can predispose you for failure. So it's important to first succeed.
So it's always back.
Yes,
home,
always inside out.
Inside out.
That's my approach to life.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, can you share a personal experience where a shift in mindset helped you to overcome a significant barrier in your life, either career or at home?
Okay. What quickly comes to my mind is the loss of my husband. My husband passed December 2020, and it's really interesting because people that have seen our videos, we've talked about growing old together on one pillow until all our teeth fall off and all of that, and we're really good friends. And all of a sudden, he passes on December 2020. It was something that hit me from the
and
blind
it made
side.
the news
Yeah.
when it happened.
Yeah, it did. And it's very ironical because the kind of coverage that death attracted would have helped us in all the things we were doing in our foundation, in our business. So people just come out to help when bad things have happened. Yeah. So that really was a hit for me. And one of the things that faced me was fear. Because, of course, we have started a business, is already online on his YouTube channel and all of that from the floor. And within the business that we had, I also had the aspects that are related to my own skill set. And the business primarily is a security and maritime company, and he was a security professional. While I am the communications person and the writer, but we synergize our strengths. So here I was faced with the big challenge, I don't want to call it a problem, of having to step in to run a company that aspects of that company did not really align with my areas of strength. I'm not a core security person, but of course, having been married to a core security professional, I perambulated in that space, you know, and it was really a huge thing for me. I was scared initially. First of all, how do I break the news of the loss of my husband to the children? Because he was an involved father, as busy as everybody saw him to be. He was fully hands-on with the children, and he was friends with them. So that was one thing that I needed to look at. But I found myself having to tell my children this news before I was ready. Why? Because of how it was breaking all over everywhere. And a friend of mine said, look, you have teenagers. 2 of your children are teenagers already. So if you do not tell them, somebody is going to call and tell. So that was the worst nightmare of my life. But I thank God for supportive friends. I was able to break it. It's a night that I choose not to remember, you know, because it wasn't pleasant at all. And after I overcame that one, I said, okay, let me see how I can put my mind together. I said, my husband had trained people in the business. We had even stepped away from the active day-to-day, and we involved more with Ubon King Foundation. I was doing Save Our Women and Girls Foundation, and we were giving back on that level. But I had to step back in. And it was something that really, it challenged everything in me that I knew. So I had to reach out to professionals, to mentors in the space who know better than I do. And I said, look at some of the things that I'm experiencing. How do I do this one? How do I do that one? And in reaching out, I got a lot of help from people. Because if you do not open your mouth and ask, you can never get the help that you require. So asking is an important superpower. So I learned to ask for the help that I needed to overcome the challenges. Because
how did that strength to even begin to do stuff that would move both your family and the business forward from where the death and the loss, you know, had thrown you?
Okay, I love talking about this one. First of all, I'm a Christian, and I don't apologize for that. So one of the things that happened in that season was that I found myself drawn to the Word of God in a way that I couldn't explain it. Nothing much made sense to me in that period. I just found myself reading the Bible. I just kept reading the Bible. And even when I'm sleeping, I'll keep it and allow it to. I have this audio Bible on my phone, the Bible app, and I'll allow it to play. I didn't know that it was building something. I didn't realize it until when the challenges started to hit. Because I faced challenges both from the family end. Of course, that's normal in this part of the world when a woman loses her husband. And then I didn't know that the business end was even going to be worse, because the people my husband had raised were more family than family, if you get what I mean. You know, so I had to deal with that. So by the time I was strong a little bit, you know, to start going into
the Word of God.
It built that resilience. That was what happened. And then, of course, I had the help and support of really close friends. What I didn't realize was that in all those years, God was slowly and intentionally building me a support system. I didn't realize it, which began from my own family, my mother, my siblings, and a few close friends. And they were the people in that season. It wasn't some very high-profile person. You know, it was just inbuilt. My family, even my children, became a support system because I saw them evolve in that season in a way that I couldn't even believe it. They were very protective. They were, mommy, you and daddy were friends. We were so close, and they were so protective. I had to remind them at some point that, look, I'm your mother, I'm not your child. You know, let me play my role as a mother. Wow. So all those things were support systems for me, which helped me. And then when I looked at them, 4 children at critical points in their journey in school, I said to myself, you cannot afford to lose it. Because if you lose it, you see, these 4 children are depending on you. You're not going to be able to get it back together. So the children were also a motivation.
It's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing that at least you were able to turn to God and all of that. Now, for a lot of people, let's even open up the conversation, right? For a lot of people, getting up, that is that growth mentality is always difficult to find, right? They're just rattled, and it may even go on. It may go on for even longer than
I've seen those situations.
So, what are some of the practical steps or things that you think that such people or people generally, because we all
face challenges,
face barriers, and
of course, in different. It doesn't even have to be the death of a spouse. It could be the loss of a job, relationship.
Getting up again. How do you get that mentality?
Like I said something when I started speaking, the inside-out approach. You have to be willing to, to move from what has happened to you. That initial time may knock you out and you feel as if life has come to an end. And it's okay to feel that way at the beginning. But after a while, staying in that space is no longer okay. You have to develop that growth mindset and tell yourself that, look, I'm better than this. You might not be able to help yourself, but look around. There's support all around. Look for people that you can talk to. Look for people that you can cry to, vent to, and can encourage you, so that you do not stay in that pity party. Yes, don't bottle it up. Seek help. Seek if it's complex. Because grief after anything that happens to you can become really complex. So if it becomes complex, seek professional help. Like my children and I, at some point, a friend, and it's funny because I met her online. She has never met my husband or I, but she said she used to listen to his videos and it blessed her. She's in the UK. So she reached out to me, and by the end of that conversation, she facilitated a session for us with some professionals in the UK. So my family and I had professional grief counseling. So there's nothing wrong in going the extra mile to seek professional help if you feel that you're drowning or you're losing it.
Okay. All right, so you work to save some young women. And so in your work with the Save Our Women and Girls, which is a SOWNG foundation, how do you help the young girls and women develop the mindset that is needed, especially in the time that we're in, to achieve their goals?
Okay, thank you very much. In working with women and young girls, we usually go into the grassroots. We don't go to the elite. We go to the grassroots women, and we work with women leaders in the community. So we've done a lot of trainings for hundreds of women all over, not only in Lagos, outside Lagos, Akwa Ibom. We've done all of that. And one of the key things that we do in our trainings is that, because we teach skills, the girls and the women learn different skills. We have a lot of them now who are in business and are doing well. When I see them, it makes me smile. So we don't only concentrate on the things they learn with their hands, because I remember the very first skills training we had was in Akwa Ibom, Women Empowerment Skills Training, and we brought in facilitators from Lagos and we trained them in different skills. And then we also brought in guest speakers. One of the people that I brought in, she started her business with 1,000 naira. She did moi moi, Mrs. Zayo Megbobe, and her moi moi got to the White House. So I brought her in to motivate the women. And a lot of other speakers, Chinyere, Nokuru, came, even my own husband, because he was always in support of the things that I do. So we don't only attack their hands. What do you have in your hands? That was the theme of that first one. We also speak to their minds. We bring people who have been down there and they've used what they had. They didn't really have much, but they used the little they had and it evolved into what they wanted to be. So when they see Anayo Megbobe, for instance, tell them that, look, I was literally nothing, you know. And that idea came, I made this more. These are the steps that I took, and this is where I am. So it really motivated them. So these stories, we bring live people, and we, in selecting the people that come in to speak with the women for our training, we are very particular. We don't want people to come in and tell tall stories that you cannot verify.
True.
So we bring in people that you can verify how they did it, and they will give you the steps. So it also, we speak to their minds and we speak to their hands. So these are some of the things that we have done with the women. And so they see possibilities.
You've done things with women and girls,
Yeah.
and you've also done things with couples, you know,
Yeah.
as a mentor and marriage counselor.
Yeah.
So how important? Remember, we're talking about mindsets now.
Yeah.
So how important would you say mindset building is for sustaining healthy relationships?
Wow, it's everything. It's everything, because you know, a lot of past issues and traumas that people have had could seep into a present relationship and affect it. So it's important for you to work on your mind, because if, for instance, you came from a home where you saw your parents always fighting each other, always quarreling with each other and all of that, if you're not careful, there's a tendency that you perpetrate it in when it's time. Yeah. So it's important for you to make a deliberate, take a decision. For instance, growing up, I didn't see a lot of examples that I could. I don't know, for some reason I was a child who read a lot. So I would call myself a very precocious child.
I was going to say you look like a bookworm.
Yes, my house is covered in books. So I did a lot of reading. Even when I was from nursery school, I was reading books that were beyond my age.
Okay.
You know? And from the books that I was reading, exposing my mind to the information that I had, I realized that, look, I got a vision for my own marriage. I said there's more to marriage than what I'm seeing around me. It has to be something, you know. And I didn't know also that as I was preparing in this manner, the person who later on became my husband was also a reader. He was also preparing himself. So by the time both of us met, the process of synergizing, the process of becoming one, more or less, was not that difficult. And we were able to create a marriage in the short 18 years. Totally in all was 23 years, because we were friends for 5 years. In that short period, we were able to create a marriage that my children will always remember.
And the children
and my girls tell me, Mommy, if you don't find somebody like that, like you're even better than Daddy. We are not married. You know? So their father became an example. Our relationship became their example. Yes. So you can imagine, if I did not deliberately expose myself to that information, I would have just had the normal marriage that I see around me and all of that. And that is why, even when my husband is no longer here, when I think of what we had, it gives me a sense of fulfillment. I know that in that short period, we're able to create impact, we're able to make a difference together. So it's very important for people not to allow the limiting mindsets of their past experiences and traumas to seep into their present relationship, because it will affect them, it will affect their growth, it will affect the kind of impact that they would have made. Because for whatever relationship that comes out of, if we are maybe a business relationship, maybe it's a marriage relationship, whatever you term relationship, if you do not allow your mind to see possibilities that this relationship is meant for impact, then you're going to be limited. A lot of people get married for marrying's sake. You shouldn't get married for marrying's sake. There's a purpose why God brings two people together, to synergize and create their own little heaven in their own neck of the woods. So every relationship is for impact. And when people have this understanding, you will not just go into a marriage. You know that, okay, I'm stepping into this relationship, there's something two of us are supposed to achieve together. And that's why I didn't feel, people say they can't work with their spouses. I don't regret going into a business ecosystem with my spouse, because I said, look, we are building legacy for our children. So if we've committed our time and energies in other people's businesses, let us synergize like that and also build our own to create the legacy that we want for our family, for our children, for generations after we are gone. Awesome. So that's why it's important that our mindsets are right, before we enter into relationship.
You're getting me carried away.
The mindset must be right.
Yes, it has
before
to
you
be.
say I do.
It has to be.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay. You're also a leader in multiple domains.
Yeah.
You are a co-founder of the company that you run now and the chairperson. And so I believe that you're working with a lot of people, both male, female, younger than you, older than you. What kind of mindset, would you say is appropriate, to bring effectiveness and purpose and progress, in a workplace?
Yeah.
Especially in the time that we're in now.
Exactly. It's really important because, first of all, I see every opportunity to lead that God has entrusted to me, as an opportunity to showcase God, to showcase the kingdom. Yeah. And before I'm even a leader in the office, I'm a leader at home. And I'm even first child of 4 children.
Oh, boy.
So in every sphere, And one of the things that my husband used to say, King used to say to me was that, babe, if anything ever happens to me, I'm not number 1 and you're number 2. Both of us are number 1. If anything ever happens to me, you step in. That's what he used to say to me. Only that I didn't know that the stepping in was going to be so soon. It was a shock. I'm not trying to downplay my emotions. It was a big hit. But I didn't want to allow that to hold me back. So one of the things that helps any leader is, first of all, emotional intelligence is very important, because as a leader, you're going to be relating with all sorts of people with different backgrounds and all. And for our own particular case, I was leading in a season after loss, after the loss of my husband, who was a leader that everybody loved and respected, because our company had some sort of family culture where we're not just working to meet bottom lines and profit. We genuinely cared for the people who worked with us. So stepping in a season of loss and chaos where people didn't even see hope and possibility. A lot of people thought, oh, King is gone. Maybe this is the end of the business. A lot of people didn't even, okay, she's not a security professional. How is she even going to handle this business and everything? And all that was in the room. But I had to deliberately step out to look for help. Like I said, I went out to seek professionals, and I had a vision. Remember, my husband and I started this thing together, so I know a lot about where we wanted to go to, what we're looking at for the future. So I had to work on that vision, and then of course learn how to delegate. There were people in that season that needed to go. There were people that needed to step up. So those were some of the things that we identified and began to work on it. And then we kept having these town hall meetings, letting them know that, look, it might be looking bleak now, King just died, but there's something that we are looking at. The vision doesn't die. And like my children aptly told me one time, they said, Mommy, you and Daddy were a team, and it's not here again. One part of the team is gone, you're the one here, and you need to represent the other person that is not here. So that was the mindset that helped me to rally the troops together. And we did fall into really tough times when he passed. We did.
I like the way you put it. Rally the troops.
Yeah. Yeah. If I wanted to look at some of those things that were happening, I would have just put myself in a corner, self-pity and all, and be crying. But one of the mentors that I respect, my pastor, he said to me, I'm going to pray for you to have clarity of mind, because there's so many decisions to take.
Back to the mind.
Yes, back to the mind. So you really can't do much if your mind is not okay. So it's really important to work on the mind. So I had to work on my own mindset, and while working on my own mindset, I had to motivate a group of people who were also in shock as I was from the loss of our chairman. So,
okay. Now we have influences, especially from the community.
Yeah.
Right? The community, they're usually the first group that we will run to. This happened to me. Then you start getting all kinds of advice. Community. You see, so how do you think community support, what role does it play in helping individuals change their mindset and helping them even break down barriers?
Yeah.
Because you'll be getting all kinds of views.
Yeah, because whenever anything happens, everybody has something to say. Whether good or bad, they will say something.
Yes.
So it's very important. Community is important. Whether community in terms of family, community in terms of friends, community even in terms of mentors and coaches. So it's very important for one to intentionally pick the people that speak to you in a crisis. Because if your community is wrong, it's going to mess you up and mess up everything that you want to achieve. So community plays a very important role in gingering us, because let's face it, there are times that you feel down. There are times that you feel, I can't make it, let me give up. But if you have the right community of people that you're engaging with, they'll be able to tell you, look, don't give up. It may be bleak, but there's still hope, there's possibility. And I think one of the things that I'm grateful to God for was that He surrounded me with that kind of community. It started first, like I said, in my home, and then it extended to external people, friends, coaches in the space that I respect. I remember talking with one of my older women friends that I respect a whole lot. And while I was talking to her on the phone, she was weeping. She said, are you telling me that after your husband passed, you had to face this kind of things that you're telling me? And she, you know, she just started praying for me. And she said, look, let me send you so and so person from my organization to come into yours and do one or two things. And I said, please, I need all the help. You know, so community is important because you cannot. It's not possible, whether you experience loss or whatever, it's not possible for you to do life in silos.
Alone,
Yes, you need community because they give you the needed push when you're down. They help you to see possibilities, and they even help to rally resources for you. Because sometimes you may not.
All right, we're almost out of time. But if someone were just tuning in, maybe in the last 5 minutes, if you had 4 things or 5 critical words to leave with that person in terms of, you know, breaking barriers and mindset shift, what would they be? You talked community a while ago. You talked about resilience. Is it part of it? What else?
Okay. What I would say to anybody tuning in, I would tell them that sometimes your immediate circumstances may not change, but your mind can change. And it's at the point where your mind changes that transformation begins. So it's important for you to acknowledge that. And then you also need to work on your self-talk. Because if your self-talk is negative, your output is going to be negative. So you tell yourself that I am enough. There was a point I was feeling like, oh, this is a security business. How do I do this? I can't. I was talking down on myself. It's something I had to deal with to see that, look, I can take this thing to the next level. Yes, positive affirmations. Tell yourself you're enough, you're capable, you are strong, and you can do it.
That's number 3.
Yes, and then you see challenges and problems as opportunities for growth. Because a lot of people, when things happen, they feel that, oh, why did this happen to me, and all of that. There's a reason why that challenge happens. Because when it happens, first of all, it reveals your true self.
It doesn't close the door.
It reintroduces you to you. And things that you thought you were not capable of, you realize that, wow, I can do this. And lastly, get support. Get the right support.
I would also say the mind is indeed everything.
Is everything.
You know? So it's amazing how just the right mindset can make all the difference. So Ambassador Unyime, you see how time flies, but it's great to have you, and
thank you.
All the best.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Moving forward.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. John said it all. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for making time to be on this program with us today. And thank God for sharing all of the decisions that you had to make, you know, to conquer fear and the challenges that were before you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to you, up next is the Culture Conversation segment, which is about Fegbu, I think.
Yes.
But before then, remember that the president of Ekiti Parapọ̀ Lagos, a barrister and Rotarian, Oladele Ojogbede, is in the house to speak to the topic, prison to correctional facilities. What has changed? Right after the Culture Conversation segment. So Chizoba is standing by right away, and let's get to meet her. Hello, Chizoba.